Howdy guys! I recently did a book haul video based on the books that I'd bought for my class. I'm not ashamed to admit that I was completely jealous, and actually sitting there and ordering £50 worth of books for my class made me just a teeny tiny bit jealous, and I may have then bought some books of my own. Now, for those of you who don't know, I'm trying really hard to reduce the amount of money that I spend on books. I haven't bought a book since Christmas, even for my Kindle. I'm trying to use my library more and get books out of there to address my issues with reading, because I was spending an absolute fortune. I also am a complete nerd, so I have a list in my little reading notebook. I have a list of all the books that I'm currently wanting to read, a short version, and I have them organised by those that are available in my library, those that are not, but what the cheapest prices that I've found them at. Whether that's Kindle or on Amazon or somewhere else, I have them all listed. So that when there's a bargain, I blooming well know there is. After the school book haul, I decided to have a quick look, just a quick one on eBay, to see if I could find myself a couple of books cheap. And wow, was I impressed. Not only were there books that I wanted to read that were, you know, less than half the price of what I would pay on Kindle or the cheapest I could get them new, but it's also a bit like Christmas when they arrive. So this is my mini eBay book haul. There are 3 books in my book haul, 333, and I ordered them all at the same time, but they all arrived separately, which was quite nice because it felt like a little bit of Christmas every single day. The first book to arrive was this one, which is The Robots of Dawn by Isaac Asimov. I'm a big sci-fi fan, and I'm certainly a big fan of Isaac Asimov. I bought this book because it is in a series, and I've read The Caves of Steel and The Naked Sun, and then this is the next one. I've loved the first 2, so I knew that I was going to be reading the 3rd book. So there was never any doubt in my mind that buying it was the right choice, that I was going to read this book. It is not available in my library. I do not believe it's available on Kindle, so I knew I was going to have to buy it. When it arrived, my dad was here and he took one look at it, looked at its beautiful creased up cover and retro design, and he went, "Oh, that's old looking." And yes, it is. But isn't that part of what's so great about it? Like when this came in the post, it just made me straight away think of old bookshops. And so thoroughly looking forward to reading this. It was a bit bigger than I was expecting. I mean, it's a good sort of nearly 500 pages. And the other books didn't feel that long, but I read them on Kindle, so maybe they were, but they just flew by. £2.49 it was, £2.49. The second book to arrive from my mini eBay book haul was one that I've been dying to read for so long, The Lost City of Zed by David Grann. This is a book that I've seen tons and tons of booktubers reading, and every time I see a review of it, it makes me cry a little inside. It looks so good, but if I remember rightly, I couldn't find anywhere that you could buy it cheaply. It wasn't available in my library, and everywhere I looked just was super expensive. And so I thought I was never going to get to read it. So when I looked it up on eBay and I found it for £3.44, I was chuffed to bits. I'm not fussed about condition, to be honest. As long as I can read it, it's the story that I'm interested in. I'm not starting some sort of weird, bookshelf collection thing. I try really hard not to collect books because I get obsessive about it. I don't need to tell you the story because you've probably heard of it, but when I was younger I read a story about, I think it might have been the Arctic, but it was an adventure story where some characters went out and went on a huge adventure, and I was kind of weirdly obsessive about it. I have a book called SAS Survival Guide that I bought when I was in primary school, and I just read it all the time and imagine what I would do if I ran away from home and went on some massive journey and lived in the woods and had to make my own fire and cook my own food. So I think that this is going to tick a lot of boxes in that part. It's something that I'm interested in, that kind of adventure excitement, and I think that I cannot wait to read this. The third and final book arrived this morning, and this was one that I'd only recently added to my to-reads list, but it is Raven's Gate by Anthony Horowitz. I have never read any Anthony Horowitz, but I did watch a video recently. I think it was Jacob Tanner who had either read it or recommended it, and I just thought, yeah, I'll give it a go. I'm aware that this is probably considered a children's book, although definitely older children, so I'm hoping that it's one I can fly through. It's also part of it says book 1, so it must be part of a set. And yeah, I've not read any Anthony Horowitz, looking forward to it, and I hope that the recommendation from Jacob Tanner doesn't let me down. Also, delighted when I got it in the post, because there's not a single sort of crease here. It just looks like a brand new book. So I was expecting, when I'm buying cheap books off eBay, to get those sort of conditions, so this was a pleasant surprise. And it may be good enough that after I've read it, then I can pass it on to somebody else and see what they think, which would be very cool, because I must not start collecting and hoarding books. So that was my sort of mini eBay book haul. Hopefully I'll resist the urge to buy more. I tend to be of the belief that I want to read books that I have before I get any more. I hate having hundreds of books lined up because I hate wasting money. So I will read the books I've got from the library and then either read these or get more from the library. I won't be getting more until I've read these. At least that's the plan. If you've read them, let me know what you think, but obviously no spoilers. And I will almost definitely post reviews when I have read them, because I'm very excited about all 3 of these books. I cannot explain to you how much. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time, guys. Bye bye.